if anybody joins up before I start actually doing anything. Okay, so let's wait a little bit more. But so I'm just going to bring out these controllers. So here we go. We've got a Sega Genesis controller here. We've got a Sega Genesis controller here. Now, what's the difference between these? Well, one, they're dirty, and they're old. Let's give a little talk about it first before I get started. Okay, let's get that off of there. By the way, don't use these things on controller wires. It kind of dents them. I didn't realize at the time. I did this years ago. Haven't used this one in years. Okay. So let's talk about Sega Genesis controllers. Now, these are 3-button controllers, and while they look very similar, there are some differences between them. This is my original Sega Genesis controller I had back in the day. I had the launch version of the Genesis, which came with Altered Beast. And now this may not be true for everybody that had a launch Altered Beast Sega Genesis, but mine was made in Taiwan, right there. So, yeah, it's missing 2 screws because I've probably taken this apart and then lost screws. But so when I got my Sega Genesis originally, I didn't really think much, terribly bad about the controller on it. It wasn't like absolutely horrible. It wasn't great. Like, it's really hard to press a diagonal on this, and I'm sure age contributes to it somewhat. But here we have another Sega Genesis controller, and this is another 3-button one. You'll notice there's some differences, right? We've got red on the buttons here, and we have no red here on these buttons. And then if you look at the up, down, left, and right, that's red around the ring here. This one, everything's just white. So they've only printed in white on this version, and they've printed in red and white on this one. And this is the Taiwan one. Okay, that's the launch one. I don't know where this one came from, but this one is one I picked up. I have like a whole slew of Sega Genesis consoles and controllers. I picked up like yard sales over the years. But this one, the diagonals are somewhat easier to press. And I'm gonna grab something too. Okay, I'm back. All right, so just as a comparison, this is a later model Sega Genesis 6-button control, and you'll see that the D-pad sits really high, and you've got some nice play in the directions. And this is good for like fighting games. This is a mini one. I have another version which is not quite as small. It has the start button more like this one. I can go grab that, but I think this is good enough just to demonstrate, because there's one that has the same, it's basically a wired version of this wireless one I have. And this is I guess the last Genesis controller that came out that was official Sega one. But this is my favorite of all the Sega Genesis game pads. It's wireless. It works pretty darn well. I mean, it's not, you do need to kind of have it like this at the console with the receiver on it. But it works great when it's if you're holding it the right way. And this has a nice D-pad on it with a lot of travel, which makes, now you think, oh, a lot of travel sounds bad, but this actually works really well if you want to double tap or press diagonals on a game. So anything that you need 8 directional control, something like this is much more preferred. Okay, but let's get back to these two here. So this one here, basically, it's really hard to press a diagonal on it. It's almost like you're pressing on solid wood. It's not quite that bad. It's not as bad as like a Super Nintendo controller is, but you'll notice like I'm holding it and I have my thumb this way because this gives you the most leverage. Like normally you would hold one like this, right? But like when you're using this thing, you really kind of have to hold it like this to actually press directions. So, but this one's a lot better. It's not fabulous, but it's a lot better than the original one. So I'm going to take these apart. That's what I really want to do, is I'm going to take these two Genesis controllers, the Japanese one and the Taiwanese one, and just see if there's any differences in them, besides the apparent materials and paint differences on them. All right, so I need a screwdriver. So we'll start with the, let's start with my original one. Oh boy, that's in there tight. And guys, feel free to participate in the chat if you have anything you want to say on this. I'm just curious as to why I lost 2 screws in this. But that's a younger me that did that. Unless this is not mine, because I have another Taiwan one, but this one looks more like mine. I'm just going on the scratches, because this one's not as scratched, but you never know. I'm someone that takes everything apart, and I'm one to lose things, so it's very possible that I did all this. Okay. Yeah, I remember taking this apart, because I had to clean it multiple times. Okay. So here we go. The rubber pads. And here's the circuit board. Okay. Now this is not really going to make much difference, regardless of which one you have in there, unless it's got really bad contacts and it's dirty. I mean, this needs some cleaning, yes, but it's not like there's anything apparently different about it. Okay, so there's the Taiwan one, and I think really what this is all going to boil down to is this rubber piece here, the silicone piece, I think, and the directional pad. Now, what's interesting to me when I'm looking at this is you see all this wear around the edge right here. I think that contributes to its inability to press directions, and I should grab my micrometer. Okay, sorry about that. I think my battery on my phone went dead even though I had it plugged in. So let's go back to the, let me switch my camera around. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so let's get back to this. So what I was talking about is, and hopefully this doesn't die on me. If it does, I'll just do this video over again. But one of the things you notice is along this edge, you see all this kind of wear marks here, where it's rubbing against the sides. So there's not a lot of play this way. And the other thing to keep in mind is that there's this, when you have this support here, so this is riding directly on the circuit board right here, this little ball. And that's going to limit the amount of direction you can press it. But I'm looking at this, right? So I got my here, and I don't know what's about it. It just feels, pretty mushy. Let's take a look. I'm going to take these parts. I want to make sure I don't mix them up. Let's put them all in here. All right, so that's the Japanese one. Let's take a look at the Chinese, Taiwanese one. Let's take a look at the Japanese version. And let's get a bucket for this one too. And I actually want to look at one of these, I guess I'll take my wireless one apart just because it could use a cleaning anyway. Just because it's dirty from years. I don't know if I ever took that one apart. Now this is somebody else's controller here, so, although I have used it, but not much. Okay, so let's take the screws. Come on. Okay, there's all the screws out. So get this a little bit higher here. Okay. It's just falling down. All right, so let's flip this around, see what's different here. This is the Japanese-made one. Okay. Oh, look at that. You already see the difference in quality here. So, so here we've got made in Japan, 1992. And if you look here, all right, so all the contacts have carbon on top of them. These will make a much better contact than these ones that are plated with gold. I think these work better. I'm not 100% sure. And I see Buckshot's got a comment there, and I'm already noticing it. So you can see this one's got printing on the back. This one does not. This one's soldered directly into the board, and this one has I don't know if you say it's a connector, but it's got some kind of strain relief on it. A different encoder chip, surface mount one. This is a hole through one. But here's the big difference. Is if we take a look at this. There you go. So there's the difference. So anybody who says the Taiwanese one is better, I think they're a little nuts, because look at the difference here. You got a ball bearing inside of here. Okay. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? So what I've got here is this is the Japanese-made Sega Genesis 3-button controller. This is the Taiwan, my launch Sega Genesis from whatever 1990, whatever it was, 1989. And on this one here, well, this is going to be, I think, 89 on it. That's when the Genesis came, or is it 88? 88? There's no date on this one, but this is a launch one. This is when it came out. So I'm going to say it's 1988, I think, is when the Genesis came out. And this one is a 92 made in Japan version. And so you'll see here. So here's the difference. So this is the one I hated. I can tell you why, because it sucks. And if we look, where's the D-pad? Okay, so this one has a plastic, it's kind of the equivalent, because you have this plastic part sticking through like this. And then this one has a metal ball right here. And hey, Dean, how's it going there too? So I don't, in terms of play, let's take a look here. I'm going to just hold it on. I wouldn't say this is like significantly different, but it definitely feels better than the other one does. So there's a difference. They did revise it. They used this ball bearing here. You know what it is too? Is since you have a collar of silicone, it's going to give you a little more resistance around the edges. So that actually gives you a little more of a pivot point. Whereas this one here is straight up just the ball. This is more like a Nintendo NES or Super Nintendo controller have this peg in the center right here. So, and Jenny's getting something out of the freezer. Okay, so now we've done that. Well, let's see. I'll take a look at the comments here. Kevin's like, the early pads had plastic as well. Must have gone back to the plastic as a cost-cutting. Yeah, so this is the early one here. The early one is plastic. So this is a 1988 or 89. I'm not sure on the date, because I can't remember exactly when the Genesis came out. And this is a 92. So the new 92 one is better. So let's go back. Let's look at this 6-button wireless one, and I have this is the later 6-button, and it's not bad. See, look how much vertical, or it's much better for pressing diagonals. This is one of my favorite ones. I think this is like well tuned in the direction, the amount of rock it has. Some people might not like this, but I like it. I think I'm going to go grab my other 6-button just because we're talking about it. So hold on. Okay, so, whoops. So here's my other 6-button. This is I would say this is correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first edition of the 6-button controller. And this is virtually identical to my wireless 6-button. Here, there's not a lot of differences between them in terms of like layout and placement on them. Let's see here, comments. Yeah, the Super Nintendo controllers, I'm not sure why people love them so much, because they become these stiff pieces of junk really very, very quickly, because it's relying like solely on these little silicone pads to push the D-pad back up on it. So let's just take a look here. I do want to see something here. Let's measure this. So this is the Japanese one. And this is almost 30 millimeters here. And let's just see what this one is. Okay, they're basically the same. This is 29.96.
What are you looking at?
I'm recording a video, guys, and 29.94, so it's slightly smaller, but that's just margin of error stuff. And let's see here. Now this is the Japanese. Well, I'm going to measure the inside. So we've got 30.54 millimeters. So, I mean, that's like 0.25 millimeters of play on the side. It's really not much at all. And then, see this one here, 30.78. This actually has a little, I think has a little bit more play, but not much. So, okay, don't want to mix them up. Okay, so let me look at the comments. The Japanese Saturn controllers. Is there a big difference, Kevin, between the Saturn controllers I have and the Japanese one? I mean, they seem pretty good. I'm not talking about the first one. That first gen Saturn controller is garbage. Okay, let me do my wireless one, because I think a lot of people hate wireless controllers that were infrared, but this one is actually really great. Just kind of need a little more space. I'm on a boom here that's just not working great. It needs new springs or something. Okay. And then I gotta adjust the light. Okay. Hey, I'm doing a video, Virgil, so try not to yell down here, please.
Okay.
All right. All right, so let's do this one then. Hey, does anybody else have one of these, by the way? This is a megaverter. You see the input, and you see the output. Look at that. Hey, guys. Okay. They're playing right now. All right. I have to be careful not to lose this little switch here between player 1 and player 2. And also not to hold the thing too close to the camera. I just bought Virgil some tools and he's sawing things now. Hey guys, be quiet.
Okay.
You're still pretty loud. Okay. Let's get this thing apart. Man, these screws are really, really long. It's like a foot long on these screws. Okay, so there's the back cover. Here's the switch. Okay, here is the control board on this. Right here. Yeah, this IR control. Well, you know, there are some now. They have wireless radio ones for the Genesis and the Retro 8-bit, or somebody makes them. I have the Saturn one of those. So here is the circuit board. Let's take a look. Look at the pad. It's all one big pad. That's cool. This is what we're here to look at. Okay, so here is the silicone, and then here is the, oh, look at this. This is, okay, this is what I want to talk about. This is like the upside down D-pad, I want to call it, maybe. It's not really upside down, but it has a pivot point. So this is where these get really good. This is the superior style D-pad. So you have this piece here, which is on the inside, and it has it rocks on the inside of this. And then this screws into it like that. So this is what makes the Saturn controller so good. when you see them. As a matter of fact, I should just go grab an old Saturn controller. Right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I don't want to lose that. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, so since it was mentioned, I'll show you this. This is the retro bit. This is a Saturn version. There's a Genesis version of it right here. I have the receiver is actually in my Saturn right now. So you see right here. This is a wireless, and I don't know if it's Bluetooth, but I know it's yeah, it is. I think it is Bluetooth because it'll connect to your phone and stuff. So here's the receiver for your computer, anything with USB. And then the receiver for the Saturn is in here. And this is a really great controller. So, and it comes with a cool case too. Okay. So let's just talk real quickly about the Saturn controller. So Kevin, this is not the Japanese version here? Right here, it's different from this one? Because this D-pad's pretty good. I mean, I would say this is probably the same D-pad that's used in the Genesis ones. As a matter of fact, why don't we just check that? I've got too many things apart right now, though. Okay, let's, since we're talking about this, chat keeps going down. Okay, so let's take a look at this one too, since we're here. This is a made in China one here I'm looking at. Hey Jenny, would you grab me a single cut seltzer out of the fridge? This one here, Kevin, this is the one you're talking about. There's two Kevins here in the chat. But CC, this is the one that you think is your favorite, right? Yes, it's good. So I just picked this up. This is my favorite brewery is now doing seltzer. This is the lemon blueberry. Let's try this one out.
Are those only for adults?
Yes, it's only for adults. That's really good. Here, Jenny, try it. Yeah, so the original Saturn ones, I have one here.
Excuse me, what is it?
It's seltzer.
It's weird.
Oh, it's weird to you? Okay.
It's very woody.
You don't like it?
It's not that I don't like it, but it has a particular flavor.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. Actually, you know, it tastes like a sour beer.
It tastes like chicory.
So this So this is, I think this is the original Sega Saturn controller right here. It's just one old dirty one I have sitting around. But and I'm curious about this one as well. Let's get this later revision 6-button out. I don't have a single analog controller, a Saturn analog controller. Do you guys have analog Saturn controllers? Because I do not. This is actually, Kevin, this is a sour-ish seltzer. Okay, so here we go. Now this does look a lot like a Genesis controller on the inside. Okay, so yeah, this is very similar. And then, oh, look at this. Now this is interesting. So this is actually really interesting. So the center of this is actually nylon, which is good for high wear conditions. This makes a huge difference in arcade sticks. What I'm curious about is how do you release it from here? Is there there's no center screw. Do you just pry it out? I'm gonna just break this controller just to find out. Yeah, oh yeah, it just pops out. Okay, so there you go. It's square. Interesting. Yeah, so this piece right here, this makes a lot of difference. So you see right here, this has the curve right here, and makes it have less friction. So that's why I think people love this, is because you've got this piece in here without any friction. What's interesting though, this is kind of an interesting thing. That means you could pull this D-pad off of a Saturn controller just by prying it off. Oh, and since we're here, let's measure the size of this. So this is 28.58 in the thing here. I'm going to lose all these buttons. It's okay. And then, oh, so this doesn't really even make much difference, but let's just see what the area is. Okay, so it's over a millimeter difference between the D-pad and the hole which it can operate in. So that's actually really good. It's interesting that there's a little notch cut out. You see that's all got these raised area, wear area. Okay, so let's get this, so what did I say this was? 28.57, somewhere 5.9, okay. And then where is my 6 button? Here's my 6 button wireless. 28.15. So this is smaller, just slightly. And then this area inside is, look at that, it's almost 2 millimeters difference. So there's a lot in there. So that's real interesting. This is actually more interesting than I thought it would be, to me at least. I don't know about anybody else, but let's get that back in here. It's very elegant, this design, because one, it doesn't require any screws, or someone took the screw out. That's also possible, that it never got a, I don't know, it wouldn't have a screw because it would probably be in the way. Although it could have one in here if you wanted to. So let's get this thing. I'm not going to clean this, I'm just going to put it back together. Where's my, here's a start button. Start button. Yeah, so let's get these in. A, C, B, now Y, yeah, that's not going to go there. Yes, I had it in the right place. Y, Z, X, okay. And then, where do these go? They just go in? I think that they go in the back piece. Let's see. Okay, there we go. This is like such a simple design in comparison to the way they make controllers nowadays. But like, it's superior. I mean, this is still not as good as like the Neo Geo Pocket digital stick. That thing is like perfection, but okay, Virgil, try not to make so much noise there. Let's see, just do this first. Don't make noise. Just making so much noise. Oh, that little tab broke off. Alright, that's gonna be fine once I put the back on. It's really the back that holds it. This is a little clumsy to get together though. Something's not quite aligned. Alright, I don't like this part. This is... What I want to do is take this off. Put it on here. And then put this on. Okay, that's better. Something's not, oh, it's the screws. Doesn't like, because the screws are jamming, they're so long, I gotta take them out. Okay. Yeah, they're so long that they're actually getting crooked. Let's do that again. I just didn't expect that to happen. Yeah, this is a little maddening. There we go. Okay, I always say this tip just because it's something that I didn't know for many. It's not that I didn't know. I just didn't think about it. So these are self-tapping screws, right? So the plastic has threads that are put in by the screw. And there, see, I'll explain what I just did here. So there's already threads that are put in by the screw. So what you want to do is put the screw in the hole, and then you want to go backwards in the hole until it drops. That means it's dropping into the thread that it's already cut. Hear that right there? Then you screw it in. It goes in a lot easier, and you're not cutting new threads every time you, what happened here? Oh, I got a stuck button. Can I fix this without, yeah, I can do this. There you go. All right, so now when you're putting it together, you're not cutting new threads into the plastic, because you can only do that so many times before it's like strip the hole. So, okay. See, this screw here will actually cut threads in plastic, so you don't want to cut threads over threads. It'd be like tapping a hole every time you put a bolt in it. It pops in. And it goes in a lot easier, too, when you do it that way. Yeah, so I've made that mistake many years without thinking about it. Because it's just going to go in the thread. Sometimes you can't get it to pop. There, it did. It just didn't make a sound. Okay. All right, so that's done. I think what I want to do is I'm going to take apart just for interest here, because now it's really interesting to me, at least, that let's see, let me just take a look here what other people have to say. Yeah, 6-button controller, Springer feel, Saturn D-pad is flatter. Only go on the right button slots, so the buttons are tricky. Okay, so by the way, you say American controller. This is an American controller too. This is not a Japanese controller. This is a USA controller. It came with a Saturn I bought in the USA, so it's not a Japanese controller. It's a later remodeled revision of the controller. Was released in the USA. This is the first revision controller, so they changed it. So just want to make sure that everybody understands that. I don't have any Japanese Saturns. That controller came with mine, USA, because I got my Saturn later, just so you know. This is, I actually have two Saturns. I have the oval button Saturn, and I have the round button Saturn. Okay. Okay. This one's been taken apart, I can tell, because this screw is fucked up. Oop, pardon my language. I did not do this. I might need a bigger screwdriver for this one. There we go. It's really, so whoever did this really tightened these down too. Yeah, someone totally cross-threaded this one. It's not like it's ruined forever. You're just gonna go out again. Now, where's the? I'm gonna clip the wire on the cable tie on this, but I think I'm gonna leave it for now. This one, okay. Yes, I've had one of these apart before with these stupid winged. What were they thinking? Really, they're trying to be cool. Okay. Oh, it's horrible. This is like Xbox controllers nowadays with their stacked boards. Okay, so got this piece out. All right. Made in Taiwan. That's another thing. It seems like the Taiwan-made ones are just junk. But okay. All right, so look. Here's again the same. So this D-pad isn't all that different if you look at it. Now, what's kind of interesting to me is you see that this is the same, except for it has a stupid shaped D-pad. So if you wanted to, you could actually take the later model D-pad if you really love this controller, and you could put it into this. I wouldn't suggest you do it. Just use the original 6-button. I mean the later model 6-button. But here, this is what's cool. So this is not nylon. This is just regular PVC. So this is going to wear more. And it has more friction. You can actually see it's been worn a little bit more. And if I look at this hole has got little wear marks in it too. It's not smooth. So it should, this has been wearing because of the fact that it's not nylon inside. Let's take a look at the size. 29.989. I think that's the same size as the Saturn, other Saturn one. And then I'm just going to measure this like this. 30.8. So it's about a millimeter there. So definitely has more play than the original Genesis ones. Let's put this back together again. Oh, it's interesting too. Is they went cheaper here too. They don't have restriction gates all the way around this, whereas the later model has little slots for the whole thing, which keeps it stiffer. Not stiffer, but more aligned, easier. This has more play in it because of that. And it's going to wear more too because there's less points to wear upon. I mean, it's going to wear either way, but what are they thinking with these? Are like pull triggers, but they're still let's see, I have that wrong. This goes here. Okay, it goes in there. No, I still have it upside down. Oh, what is going on here? Oh my gosh. This is so stupid. It's like they made it overly complex. They didn't need to do this. Alright. No. Oh. Yeah, no, I had it right. Just have it. This is right, which will be on the left on this side. Okay. Okay. This is pretty dumb. Look, they didn't do a peg. They did a slot, so this whole thing can move around. Why? All right, so. Oh, I guess because of this part here, they wanted a slot. Probably for tolerances. Yeah, I'm doing a video, Virgil. Can it wait? All right. In a little bit, Virgil. Okay. There goes that popped in. Okay. You want to over tighten this. There it goes. Okay. My kids repair them. Oh, believe me, I've had them do some things that when they've broken stuff. This one, I'm definitely not going to put this one in tight. There we go, that's good enough on that one. Alright, so that one's back together. Okay, so I think there's just one left. We might as well look at it, right? So this is the last revision of the Sega Genesis controller. I think this came with the Model 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. The mode button's down here next to the start button. Most makes you think it's a select button. Alright, so let's take a look. They should have done that all along, because you don't having a shoulder button for the mode is just kind of silly. I guess they just wanted people to know that, like, hey, it's not a button that you use in game. It's so funny that Forgotten Realms? No, Forgotten Worlds will actually, you'll die instantly in the game. It'll go right to the end game, if the end of the game, if you have a 6-button controller plugged in and you don't press the mode button when you start it up. And that's a game that was actually, even though it's a Capcom game, it was programmed by Sega. But obviously it came along a lot later, the 6-button. Okay, let's take a look at this. So, all right, so this one doesn't have a screw. Interesting, but it doesn't. It's a little different than the Saturn one, but it's similar. It's got little pads for each of the. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna. I think that's. All right, I think this is actually heat welded, so I'm not gonna pry on this anymore, because I think I'll just. No, that's coming off. All right, there you go. So this is interesting. I actually like this. It's got a much larger pivot point than anything else does. For fighting games, this is awesome. This is way better. I mean, it's still not going to be it's not going to be the same as the Neo Geo Pocket one, but it's pretty awesome. So yeah, that was cool. I'm not going to put it back on. I'm going to put it on afterwards. Okay. That was interesting. So I'm glad I took this one apart, because I actually like that a lot. All right. I feel like that's not quite aligned well. I have this in the wrong thing. Oh, here. That's why. Took too many of these apart. Okay. And that notch is just when you put the back on. This one's actually really simple, but good too. I actually think it's one of the better designs. Okay, so if I get that like that. Yeah, so that's really nice. Now I have the Mega Fire analog, not analog stick, arcade stick, and the 3-button and the 6-button. When I first got my Genesis, I mean, like, very shortly afterwards, I got the arcade stick for it, which is something I never really thought about having. You know, like, I always wanted arcade sticks, but it wasn't like, I didn't have one for my, well, I did get an Advantage at some point. Maybe I already had the Advantage first, but the arcade stick on the Genesis really made a huge difference. Some people don't like it. I love it. That's kind of funny. Look at that. So what's kind of cool is you could actually pry this out, right, and clean underneath it. So, you know, you get underneath here and whoop. Hey, I want to clean that out. Look how easy that is. And I bet you they thought, hey, we could put a little joystick on there or something. I mean, people with 3D printers nowadays, you could print all kinds of things that go in there. That's really cool. That's actually smart. I like that a lot. So yeah. I wonder, let's take a look at that Saturn one. Is that easy to come off from the top too? Let's give it a try. Yeah. Look at that. That's fun. It makes cleaning it out easy. Of course, you know, if you had some place like where it's publicly accessible to people, you're gonna see people probably stealing that out, right? That's not always a good thing, but it's a good thing in this case, I think. So, um, you break it. No, I've never broken one, so I don't think that that's really an issue so much. But yeah, let's yeah, but this thing's, you know what's really great about this 6 button wireless one is that it has the receiver unit covers both ports, the player 1, player 2. And I don't know if you've had this issue, but my uh, controller ports on my Genesis got loose over the years, and you have to like wiggle it to kind of get it to stay in place in the right place. If I try to plug a controller into it nowadays, it's really a pain. And I tried, doing the old getting the pins straight, but it's just basically the pins are kind of small for the joystick holes, and like, or they just get worn out because, like, here, this is my original one. You see the holes in these things? I mean, that's the issue with these DB9s. Let's see the size of the hole. They're huge now. So if you plug this controller in, it just kind of wobbles and falls out. So the once I got that 6 button wireless, I just plugged in. I just left it plugged in the whole time, even though I don't use the arcade stick anymore. It's great. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna clean these separately because I want to wash them, get this really clean, put it back together again. So yeah, I suppose I should. Well, I don't. That's not actually for the Genesis. I do have some other controllers. You have to be careful plugging it in. Yeah, well, the thing is, I probably plugged it in like 100 million times, because I wouldn't leave the. It's my own fault. I wouldn't leave the controller plugged in. I would unplug it when I was done playing. Um, I don't know. Maybe leaving it plugged in would have been bad too. But I had it in my own bedroom, so it wasn't like it was somewhere people would trip on it. But yeah, I mean, I like this design, but and the thing about this controller is the batteries last forever in it. I mean, they last forever. So, all right, I think I'm gonna stop it here. That's 45 minutes. Anybody have anything they want to say before I get off, and maybe we can, um, I don't know, any hey Chronicles, how's it going? Let's see, what was the trick on the Super Nintendo? One time, to get a screw out of Model M keyboard, I had to use a big pen, melted it with lighter, and stuck it on the end of the screw. See, what I would have just done is, and I've done this before with screws that are stuck, is I just use my Dremel, and I Dremel the head off, and then once I get the thing apart, I can put a pair of vice grips or just tight pliers on the screw that's sticking out that's left over, and unscrew it once I've got it apart. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, have a good weekend, and cheers. I need some more of this stuff. This stuff's good. It had special screws. Oh, one of those security spits? Yeah. Still can grind it off. All right. See you guys. Bye.